Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. Folks, the sentiment about the United States economy is getting close to the worst of the Great Recession. Things are getting harder for the average American, and sentiment is actually getting worse. Here's an article on your screen from Bloomberg. Sentiment about the US economy is getting close to the worst of the Great Recession. I'm talking about the 2008 2009 Great Recession. As always, we'll provide you with the link to all of our resources in the description section below. So, the University of Michigan economic sentiment is at its lowest level right now since October of 2011. That month, it was 60.8. Today, it came in at 61.7. Inflation, as you can imagine, is a huge part of the story here. In fact, I have done another video on our channel talking about inflation being the biggest threat to America, the biggest threat to the American economy, more so the supposed Russian invasion of Ukraine at the time I'm recording this video. Now, this is what the director of this survey, Richard Curtin, said. The impact of higher inflation on personal finances was spontaneously cited by 1/3 of all consumers, with nearly half of all consumers expecting declines in their inflation-adjusted incomes during the year ahead. In addition, fewer households cited rising net household wealth since the pandemic low in May 2020, largely due to the falling likelihood of stock price increases in 2022. In short, everyone seemed to have more cash in 2020 because of the stimulus, because of the unemployment benefits, and in 2021 because of the surge in the stock market. But now, as everything is coming down, as things are coming crashing back to earth, if you will, now people have less disposable income. Now, what's really interesting and what's striking about the October 2011 levels is that this was the very worst of the Great Recession. And now, in many ways, we haven't seen the worst, everyone. Things could potentially, and I say potentially, get much worse. I'm not a fear monger, so I'm not going to tell you that things are going to be terrible, but I will report the news as it comes out, as I see it, and I'll give you my own personal assessment. In fact, now might be a good time for me to share some of that assessment. I believe that individuals who don't improve their skills, who don't continuously seek to learn more, whether it's reading books, watching YouTube videos, learning from mentors, improving their skills, becoming multifaceted in their professional experience, in their professional capabilities, I believe individuals who don't do that are likely to struggle, are likely to get stuck in dead-end jobs, low-wage jobs. But individuals who know how to multitask, who can continuously improve their skills, who can potentially work remotely, who can do more than one job, those individuals are likely to do much better in this new post-pandemic economy. In fact, real wages, and we've all been talking about real wages lately, hit their post-Great Financial Crisis low right around then. Let's take a look at this chart, and this chart shows you that actual real wages, and you'll see that red portion on your screen, real wages meaning how much people actually got paid despite the wage increases. At the end of the day, real wages reflect how much people actually got paid and, after bonuses, etc. Real wages were at their lowest point during the Great Recession, during the end of the Great Recession in 2011. And now real wages are down. Even if you've had a pay increase, your real wages are down because of the effect of inflation. Let's take a look at home builder stocks, which, by the way, resulted in the financial crisis in 2008 and 2011. They hit their lows relative to the S&P 500, relative to the entire stock market at the exact same time. And meanwhile, the overall ratio of the stock market to the price of gold, which, by the way, is an indicator of fear versus greed, actually bottomed that August. So this is actually starting to tell you that there's some striking similarities between what happened in 2011, in essentially the end of the Great Recession, and what is happening right now. Now, to see that sentiment is down to those levels at this point in our recovery is pretty extraordinary, because today the unemployment rate is at 4%, and back then it was closer to 9%. Think about that for a second. In fact, the University of Michigan said that the data has changed its meaning over time. They said this: the recent declines have meant that the sentiment index now signals the onset of a sustained downturn in consumer spending. The depth of the slump, however, is subject to several caveats that have not been present in prior downturns. In other words, we have some new stuff now that we didn't have to contend with before. And what is this new stuff? The impact of unspent stimulus funds, the partisan distortion of expectations, and the pandemic's disruption of spending and work patterns. Households have amassed substantial savings and reserve funds from the stimulus, as well as due to more limited consumption choices, especially services. There may be a lessened need for additional precautionary savings and a greater desire to engage in discretionary spending. In short, what this study is saying is that people have money left over. People are frustrated because they've been indoors for too long. People want to get rid of their masks. People want to travel. People want to be able to spend money. People want to be able to go out to the movies, go out to restaurants, just go for a long drive, stay in a hotel maybe. We need to go out there and do the things we are accustomed to as Americans, as spenders, as individuals who love life and who like to enjoy life. And that may result in more spending from the consumer, which, by the way, is something that could prop up the economy. And that is the only silver lining in this situation. In fact, you are an American consumer, my viewer and subscriber. And I can actually speak for myself, and I can tell you that my wife and I have decided to travel more. We haven't quite gone out to restaurants yet. We still do a lot of DoorDash, but we do intend on traveling. We do intend on gradually venturing out there and doing more. And to be honest with you, I'm sick of wearing a mask myself, and my children, my 7-year-old son and my 4-year-old daughter, said that they were tired of wearing masks as well. My wife, on the other hand, insists that we all wear masks, and I respect her wishes. But the bottom line is this: as consumers, we are starting to spend more because we have decided to start traveling again. We're going to be making an overseas trip in the next couple of months. Now, where do you stand? Are you interested in spending more money? And if so, let me know what you're planning on spending your money on, because that, at the end of the day, is what is going to help the US economy recover. The entire US economy is based on consumer spending. However, this article states that sentiment is getting close to the worst of the Great Recession. I believe that if you're not prepared, things can get worse. But if you are, then things can only get better from here, and you should have multiple options as far as your employment is concerned, as well as your ability to earn income is concerned. And I hope that is indeed the case for you. Thank you so much for watching. Please click the like button. Please click subscribe. Please enable notifications. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. This right here is a little bit of information about me. Check out my video. You'll learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. So please check out the video. You'll learn how I was able to overcome the cycle of poverty that you can see on your screen right now. Once again, thank you for watching. Please also follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is ignition_time. That's ignition_time. This right here is my Twitter feed. So follow me on Twitter. Thank you so much once again. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.